Morning, everyone. How many students are here? I was just thinking, no self-respecting student will wake up at 3:50 in the morning, right? Anybody's woken up earlier? In a small village near Solapur called Wadala, I was born at 3:50 in the morning, at home. So I like to say this concept of home delivery started with me. So this challenging the unconventional started right with my birth. And I remember ever since I was a child, I have always wanted to reach out to people. I loved people. In school, I was extremely naughty, forever punished by my teachers. I was friends with the dumbest to the most talented and the bullies of the school, and yet I topped my school throughout. But there was always this thing that I want to do something for my people, for my country, for the world. And I remember my blood used to boil when I would see some exploitation or corruption. And when I was in Mumbai, and the TV repairman had come home, and he just opened the TV. He didn't change anything. He didn't fix it, and he charged 150 rupees. I followed him to his home to see how I can bash him up with a stone and kill him. I wanted to be a terrorist. Though I got into IIT, even then I always harbored this dream of becoming a terrorist. Whoever would do all this corruption, these politicians or these landlords, I had planned systematically how I'm going to eliminate them. But that's not the point of this talk today. Thankfully, Art of Living struck me when I was in IIT, and I did the meditations, the yoga, the Sudarshan Kriya, and that changed my whole outlook to how I wanted to change the world, how I wanted to make a difference. And very interestingly, in my job today, every week I meet thousands of people, every age group, every walk of life. As I was being introduced, from college students to corporate honchos to housewives to rural youth and elders, as well as hardcore terrorists. I've taught in many of the jails around the country and abroad. And to bring a celebration in their life, that is one of the biggest fulfillments. To be able to make them live life happily and successful lives. So today, I'll talk about life, the perspective of what I have gone through. Instead of giving examples from history or far-fetched geography, let me talk about my own experiences so that it's much more genuine. Ever since I was a child, and as you were children, you have been told many a times, don't do it. Don't you dare. Have you heard that word very often? There's a small kid who said, until I was 10 years old, I thought my name was Don't. We've heard this so many times, right? But the first thing that we all need to know or to do is to dare. Dare to do things. We all have imaginations. We all have dreams. And we need to, like the director said, that we need to jump out of our comfort zone. And that requires courage. That requires braveness. So dare to do things. Because if you notice all the regrets in life, they will be of the things that you have not done more than the things that you have. Have you noticed this? Most of our regrets will be of the things we have not done. I wish I had done it. I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I had said I love you to her before that Kamina Salap just took her away. You have to dare. That's the first thing I would say. Dare to do. Get out of your comfort zone. Reach out. So this is the first thing. Anything you want to be best at, any talent, you become best by doing. How do you become good at playing a guitar? We have Benny here, he will share. Yeah? How do you become best at that? By playing a guitar, right? How do you become good at singing? By singing. How do you become good at driving a car? By driving a car, right? Anything you want to be fantastic at, you need to start doing it. So first thing I would say is dare to do. There will be a lot of losers around you who would say, don't. Pagal ho gaya kya? Be practical. Come on, think conventional. Don't listen to them. Yeah, they may be your best friends. They may be your family members. Yeah, don't be arrogant. But I would say, don't be a football of their opinions. Yeah, dare to do. This is the first thing. And when you do, see, you're bound to make mistakes and have failures, right? Again, this will be one more advice that will be given to you by teachers, parents, your bosses. Make no mistake. See, mistakes are nature's way of making you learn. So don't be afraid of making a mistake. You know, when I was on the Art of Living course, my English was horrible. Yeah? Born in a small village, gone through, I traveled all over Maharashtra every 3 years, a new school. And when my teacher, Bawa, called me in front and said, talk to the people, I just I started doing all that. And he said, what's the problem? I said, Bawa, if I make mistakes, people will laugh. And he said, that's good. What will happen if you make mistakes? People will laugh and you will learn. That's a win-win situation. Yeah, you have made so many people laugh and you have learned. And coming from a mind like that, when I was on the Art of Living program, it really struck home. It made sense. I said, yes. I tell you, in the next 3 months, the way I improved in my communication, the way I would express in any language, not just English, was phenomenal. Because I was ready to make mistakes. Don't be afraid of failure. My trainer in the gym, he has this very beautiful thing. He pushes me. He says, success is reaching the point of failure. He says, until you can't do that last rep, you have not really been successful that day. So success is reaching that point of failure. Don't be afraid of falling. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of making a fool of yourself. This is one big thing that happens, especially when we are young. In fact, like I said, my teacher is a Parsi, Bawa. He says, Bawas and Sardars have this racial advantage. They can do whatever they want. People don't say, anyway, pagal hai sala. Sardar hai. Bawa hai. Genius is associated with a streak of eccentricity. Agree to be a fool. Agree to be little eccentric. I'm not saying you go insane, you go mad. No. But little bit of insanity is required to maintain your sanity in the world. Do you agree? Yes? Little bit. Yeah? Now that little bit you can define for yourself. This is the second thing I would say. Don't be afraid of mistakes or failure. And the third thing is that, okay, always have sight on the goal. No, yoga, spirituality takes a different route. We say, have sight on yourself. Have focus on yourself. If you have sight on the goal, you are going to stumble. Yes, keep a goal. Have the goal in mind. Have your target. Have your vision. But if you keep your sight on the goal, or in the corporate parlance, we say, okay, on the bottom line, always be aware of the bottom line. This is not going to help you. Focus on yourself. Symbiosis talks about competing. I would suggest instead of competing with someone else, compete with yourself. See, in any field, if you notice, wherever there is competition, if you look at the other person and play, or act, or do your stuff, you are going to flounder. Are you getting this? when they're running a 100-meter race, have you ever seen them looking here or there? No, they have to be focused on themselves. So focus on yourself. That is why it is said, yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Once you make yourself so capable, then automatically your actions, your decisions, the ideas that you get will be the right one for that moment, for that place. And this is another, unconventional thing that we say, is you assume you have those things. We all want to get somewhere, reach somewhere, realize our dreams. You assume that you already have all those qualities and then move on. Instead of saying, okay, I want to be so committed, I want to be dedicated, or I want to be hardworking. Then what happens? You start with a feeling of lack. Oh, I don't have it, and let me go ahead and have it. The mind doesn't work like that. So instead of these, on top of these three things that I have said, dare to do, make mistakes. And the third one is not having focus on the goal or the bottom line, focus on yourself. Along with this, I would say, there is a secret. And in Sanskrit, it is called yad bhavam tad bhavati. Whatever you think, whatever you feel, that is the kind of reality that you will create around you. Americans are fantastic at marketing or at presentation. They've made this movie, The Secret. These are all secrets from our Vedas, from our Upanishads, from the scriptures of this land. You see, yad bhavam tad bhavati. If you operate from a sense of lack, then you will attract lack around you. If you operate from a sense of abundance, I already have this, then you just have to wake up to it. You don't have to make as much effort as you would do if you were coming from a space of, I don't have this, let me get it. Make sense? Yeah. Now going from, this is the secret. And just these few things, to get these secrets, people have come to India, right from Yun Sang, from China and from the East, to Sayyid al-Andalusi from Arabia, to Alexander. When Alexander was coming to India, his guru, Aristotle, told him that go find out the men of knowledge there if you're going to India. So people from time immemorial have come to India in search of knowledge. They have come to India in search of wealth. The British, the Spanish, the French, the Mughals, the Mongols, they all came to India in search of wealth. So when the world required knowledge, we had it. When the world required wealth, we had it. Today the world requires peace, and we have it. I want each one of you to be those ambassadors of those peace. Peaceful warriors, what we call. Yeah, so from my transition from being a terrorist to being a peaceful warrior has been very dramatic. Maybe, we were just joking the other day, we'll start another conference. Instead of TED, we call it Instead. Yeah. So when we have more time than 18 minutes, I could tell all those stories. We need to do this. I firmly believe that this world can do without more doctors, without more engineers or architects or artists or lawyers. But what really is required today is this messengers of peace. If you look at the market, the need is that. We need peaceful people. We need joyful, loving people. Someone who is oriented towards making our life on this planet a better experience, a much more beautiful or rich experience. And I invite you to do that. Okay. So really have pride over what this country has to offer to the world. Every country has something to offer. Like his Holiness Sri Ravi Shankar Ji Gurudev says that we need to learn teamwork from the Japanese. Small country, but they take on the might of the greatest financial powers. Why? Because they have teamwork. And when Japan was almost finished off at the end of the Second World War, the wise men of those places, what they did, okay, how do we build this country together again? So they made the toys in the schools, they made them very heavy. So what was the result? One person, one child alone cannot play a toy. He will have to get 4 or 5 people together to play. Automatically teamwork happens. Small little things go a long way to building an individual or building a nation. So learn teamwork from the Japanese. Then Guruji said, learn presentation or marketing from the Americans. Yeah, the Americans can sell anything. Yeah, they can sell sand to an Arab or snow to an Eskimo. Yeah. They anyway sell Pepsi and Coke. They're not sponsors, no? Okay. Yeah. No, it is not good for you, but they can sell it as if this is the elixir of life. Yeah. So we need to learn the presentation skills from the Americans. And Gurudev said, we need to learn etiquettes and mannerisms from the British. Very good. Yeah. Learn precision from the Germans. The best of cars, the best of machineries around the world, they are German made. Then of course there were people, they started saying different things like, okay, what can we learn from, we were in Australia, what can we learn from the Australians? Guruji said, learn how to play from the Australians. They have this motto, work hard, play hard, sports. Then he said, okay, what can we learn from Africa? This is learn large-heartedness, frankness from the Africans. What can we learn from the French? Learn romance and love from the French. Yeah? And then, of course, there was this big roar, what can we learn from India? No, what can we learn from China? How to copy, you learn from the Chinese. Excellent at that. Yeah. Then we said, okay, what can we learn from the Indians? Guruji said, learn how to live from the Indians. Learn human values from the Indians. If you go to any village in our country, the way you will be welcomed, it is something totally different. Yeah? It's such a privilege to be born in this country, to live in this country. I have taught in 34 countries, these programs, various programs. But I tell you, of course, each country has something wonderful to offer, but nothing like India. The vibrations of this place, the whole, millions of people, the saints have meditated here. There is a spiritual vibration in this place. So instead of all these problems that we have, I'll give you another example. In that very talk, somebody stood up and said, your country has so many problems. Yeah. And why are you coming to Australia? Yeah, you should give this knowledge to your country. We don't need this. And there was a reporter whose intention was to create some nuisance. The Guruji smiled and said, yes, our country has all the problems you can think of. Overpopulation, you go 200 kilometers, you will change, the language will be changed, the dialect will change. There are all religions you can think of represented here. There is poverty, there is corruption, all those things. He said, yet this country is one country today. Give these problems to any other country and see what will happen. It's because of the spiritual vibrations, the spiritual knowledge and the techniques of this land. And then he said, if you look at Sydney, yeah, are there any beds available in the mental hospitals? Or place available in the prisons? Guruji had just met a few prison heads and and he says, your country needs this knowledge. The health of a country is dependent on, is indicated by the beds that are available in the hospitals and free cells in the prisons. This knowledge is required. So I invite you to have pride over this, what you have inherited, and take this. You be ambassadors of this knowledge, of the spiritual wealth that we have to all over the world. These 3 things, what do you remember?
Dare.
Dare to do, then Make mistakes. Yeah, and like Gurudev says, make new mistakes. Okay, don't repeat the same mistakes. Yeah, be creative in making mistakes. Yeah. So we are encouraged as Art of Living teachers, volunteers, we are encouraged to make mistakes. But learn from them and make new mistakes so that we grow. Alright? And the third is? Focus on yourself. So take time off to invest in yourself. Meditate every day, 10-15 minutes a day. I'll just end it with one last quote from Mahatma Gandhi. You know Mahatma Gandhi? The guy on Indian notes, yeah, the father of the nation. So he used to meditate every day, morning, evening. Twice a day, daily he would meditate. He was a very busy person. So his quote, he said, I am so busy today, I cannot do my 1 hour of meditation. I will need to do 2. Usually all the excuses that we do to, give to do wonderful things are reasons why you should do them. Oh, I am so busy. That's the reason why you need to take little time off to go into yourself. If you want to strike an arrow, you have to pull it back. Only then it can reach its target. So I will leave you with that thought to indulge, explore this dimension of yourself through the spiritual practices and through the spiritual knowledge, and be ambassadors of it. Thank you.